Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. Shall we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today? Late night episode, of course. D&D session. Pretty good one today. I mean, we're all pretty good, to be honest. There's not been many where I've come out and been like, that was a bad session. If any, to be honest. Most of them, I mean, of course, there's always going to be a sliding scale of, best. Something has to be the best, something has to be the worst. But, I mean, to come in it with just like the negativity of a bad session, as long as the people are having fun, in fact, I think would constitute a good session. But anyway, not to be like overly saccharine or overly critical, to be honest, but good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 11 p.m. on Monday, February 10th, 2025. Big wish, everyone. But yes, what was I going to talk about today? I'm not sure. What would a D&D chat be? I don't know. It's hard to say because it feels like that this is now like what did I say, midway through Act 2? I'm not sure if it's it might be at the midpoint now, where it's kind of like we know what they're kind of doing at this point. Both campaigns at this point have like a clear, maybe not a clear idea. Well, maybe one campaign's got less of a clear idea compared to the other, but anyway, but they have a reasonable idea of what the goals are. Certainly the Act 2 enemies, villains that they're up against may not necessarily be completely defeated in Act 2, maybe part of it will be. But it's certainly a rather difficult task, I think, all in all. Which is kind of a point. But there's been some interesting discussions, I think, that's been had. Some good planning about what the next steps are. But for some reason, one of my players was just super going in against one of the deities in the world. In a way where I was just like, I'm not even sure where this is coming from, but go off, sis. I found it quite amusing, if anything. But say I was confused would certainly not be a lie. Because I was just like, I don't know, this person was just like, is your ally, as far as you can tell. Ha ha ha. Had to keep it ambiguous, otherwise things, you don't get all the information for free. And then suddenly it's just like, you know what? Screw that deity. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Of course, my players are free to do whatever they want. In fact, I actively encourage it. That's kind of a point. Freedom of your freedom of your own choices, but you're not going to be free from consequences which come about because of it. And to be fair, my player was very self-aware, just being like, oh yeah, and just being like, oh yeah, screw all these allies or whatever, in a jokey way. I just found it very amusing. Because if anything, I suppose the way I think about it is the fact that everyone has, layers. Well, at least that's how I do the NPCs. Whether good, whether bad, very few of the NPCs are so open that they will tell you literally anything and everything. Everyone's got something that they want to hide. Not necessarily want to hide, but are not going to be so forthright with it immediately. The scale of the time frame, I think, of these D&D campaigns is a bit hard to think about, because really it's actually only been like 3 weeks, 2 weeks or something in game time since everything's kicked off, but it's been basically a year in real life time. But that's because they're having like really, really packed days. Every day they're doing literally something. They basically take very few break days. And that's just kind of like the nature of things. You can have downtime in between things, and I think it does make sense if you're like in a more narrative sense. But it does probably feel a bit weird as well, because it's like, oh, you've got these like pressing matters to attend to. We're not the actual characters in the game. We're never going to get burnt out or tired. Might as well just keep going, right? But yes. And also part of it is that I have probably majorly less travel time in my D&D campaigns compared to other D&D campaigns in general. Because I think, the points of interest are the points of interest, right? You can have a downtime at the points of interest by just like the chosen activity. Otherwise, travel time, a lot of it is just like, I don't think it's necessarily bad per se, but I'm like, maybe I'm not a good enough DM to make it as interesting as it could be. So I generally like to try and keep travel times short if I can, or I sort of like fast forward through them, if possible. And you sort of like fast forward to the points which are interesting. I mean, I always say to my players, like, is there anything that you want to talk about? How would you fill up this travel time, or whatnot? And leave it up to them to be able to sort of flesh things out a bit if they want to. And if they don't, then I'm just like, okay, well, then you travel to the next place, basically. But But yeah, I don't know. That's just my DMing style, I suppose. Which, you know, kind of depends on what parts you appreciate most, I think, out of D&D, which sort of style you like better, but that's the way I do things. Anyway, another point. What should we talk about today? Great question. Heard it was National, Alligator in a Sewer Day yesterday, which, by the way, it's a very, very niche holiday, might I add. Alligator in a sewer. I'm not 100% sure why you would need specifically an alligator in a sewer as a national holiday, but so be it. If you really want to have something like that, I guess, why not? Who am I to stop you? Who am I to be like, no, that's not a thing which is allowed? You're allowed to celebrate whatever sewer style holidays you want. But there is a weird association with alligators and sewers, I feel like. Isn't there like that Spider-Man enemy? Like the no, I guess that's a crocodile. Crocodile Spider-Man villain? What's his name? He's just called Crocodile. No, Lizard. I gotta say, the story from Amazing Spider-Man, this is an absolutely horrifying portrayal of Lizard. It's like such a human face on top of a lizard, which I guess is kind of meant because he's like a mutated doctor or something, isn't he? Who got turned into a lizard. This comic portrayal is badass though. Look at that. That's how you make it monstrous and also appealing. This is just scary. What on earth is that? Oh, it's a men's costume, I see. It's a men's lizard classic muscle adult men's costume Curtis Connors. That's just spooky. Anyway, what was I going to say about this? I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really know if I had anything to say about that. But there's a weird sort of association of crocodiles and sewers, which I'm not sure where it comes from necessarily, because I don't actually know how common it is. Or like alligator in sewer or whatever. Sewer alligator. It's actually literally an urban myth. Okay, so that's probably why it's a thing. I feel like it's not that. It must be a very American thing. I would tell you about it if I wasn't itching my eyes right now instead of reading a Wikipedia article, but it must be a very American thing, right? Because I wonder how it comes about. Like, you don't see the sewers all that often in the UK, to be honest. I mean, you see the drainage, like, inside of the pavements. But they're never, like... I feel like they're not as visible. Like US ones. How common is it for, like, your average Joe, your average civilian, to just go into, like, a New York sewer or something? Is that a thing that, like, regularly happens? I'm not saying it should be a thing or shouldn't be a thing necessarily. Well, actually, it probably shouldn't be a thing. It's probably kind of dangerous in there, isn't it? Then you got like toxic, not toxic, I suppose, but like noxious fumes. It's probably rife with bacteria and contamination. If you fall into a sewer, I suppose, then like, how are you going to get out? I don't know. I don't know if I've ever been in a sewer or ever had the opportunity to be in a sewer. I'm going to search them up. UK sewer. A London sewer system. What does it even look like? I guess I have been in tunnels which are probably used to be sewers or something, but then aren't anymore. Victorian sewer system. I don't think I ever want to go into a sewer, mind you. Very much something I'm not all about. It's just... The only thing I can really think about seeing inside of a sewer was I watched a documentary once. I can't remember what it was about, but it was something about like fat build-up or something in sewers, right? Which end up clogging the systems from like people like pouring oil or something down the drains, which is not a good idea. Don't do that. But yeah, I also saw like a construction worker. He was like changing. I can't remember what he was doing, but I saw him and I was like watching him. Maybe it was like on way to school or something. Like lift up the manhole cover once, and I got to have a look down. It wasn't very exciting. It was just a hole with a ladder down, but still. It's not to say that I don't appreciate sewers. Sewers are wondrous, infrastructure, I suppose. An absolutely fantastic thing which has been developed which helps sanitation, decrease contamination, illness, disease by a ridiculous amount through its use alone. And as someone who very much appreciates cleanliness, how can I not appreciate something like that? But at the same time, I don't have a curiosity to go in the sewers. It's interesting how commonly they come up in D&D. Because like one of the parties gone through sewers. Actually, I think both parties have gone through sewers now. One of them did it to navigate around a town. A very small town. And they even asked me a question about like why there's sewers in this town with like doors that you can go into from grounds. And then I said, very cleverly, because it is technically true as well, that it was a holdover from way back in the day when it used to be a lot more dangerous to be above ground because civilizations and things hadn't been established. But things would traditionally be built with underground tunnel systems in this kingdom, so people could navigate like that. Especially because in that kingdom, their deity died way early on, so they didn't have a watchful divine helping look after them. But yes. And then the other party went through sewers. Well, only two of them went through sewers, basically to sneak into another kingdom. Why? Don't know. They just kind of wanted to. I presented it as an option, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna take that option." And I was like, "Fair enough. Push that button." Yeah. I don't know. I just don't really think about sewers all that often. I guess it must be. I bet it's something like fire, similar to like how fire hydrants are in the UK. But they're much more hidden compared to like ones in America. Because if you don't know, the American fire hydrants, the red ones, come out of the ground. They're a bit like T-shaped. That's what I'd say. Red and metal. You've probably seen them before in like a cartoon or something. But the British fire hydrants, they're all underground actually. If you go around Britain, you'll see like these little like yellow small signs on the pavement on the side. Let's say FH on them. It means fire hydrant. And then like the fire. I was gonna call them the fire police. That's not what they're called. The firefighters. That's it. Have like a specialist tool which they can use to like unscrew the top of it or something, and then like they lift it up and then they can like use a hook or something to pull it out. I can't remember. It doesn't. I don't think it pops out like a American fire hydrant, but it's something like they connect the pipes into some way. I can't remember. Let's see. UK fire hydrant. Oh yeah, you can kind of pull it out. Oh, it doesn't say FH. Oh no, some of them do say FH. There's also signs which just say H. I guess it kind of depends where you are. A large number indicates the size of a water that feeds a hydrant in millimeters. But a smaller number indicates the distance to the hydrant from a sign in meters. Oh. So this one says 13. Why would you put it 13 meters away? Well, I guess you'd probably have multiple signs, right? To be like, here it is. To be fair, there are some American-style fire hydrants about the place, but they are very, very rare, I'd say. Much more common to see these yellow signs. I'm not sure I will use yellow for fire hydrants, actually, now I think about it. Anyway, sorry. So I wonder if it's like that, the sewer system. It's just much more visible in London. I'd say you definitely notice it when the sewer system's not working in the UK. When there's like a load of leaves or something blocking the drainage system, and then the water doesn't drain, and then you're in a car or something, and it like all pulls up in the road, and you're like, wow, now I can't go anywhere. We need to drive slowly through, or you can drive really quickly through. Nightmare. I say as someone who doesn't drive, so what do I know? Anyway, so Alligator, I didn't actually finish reading this. Some cities in which sewer alligators have supposedly been found are New York and Paris. Stories date back to late 1920s and early 1930s, and most instances are contemporary legend. Contemporary legend is an interesting way to put it. That's another word for urban legend, I guess. But contemporary legend, I guess, is a better name for it, isn't it? Because it's like an existent one. The entire reports the city rescues 100 alligators per year. Or they kept as illegal pets. Oh yeah, this is what my friend said. Some people are like flushing these baby alligators or something and they end up in the sewers. Escapees and former pets may survive for a short time in New York sewers. Long-term survival is not possible due to low temperatures and bacteria in human feces. I guess that makes sense. Sewer maintenance crews insist there is no underground population of alligators in sewers. Exactly what Big Alligator wants you to think. I never really thought about the fact that there is this association of alligators in sewers. Completely from media, from a complete... Well, I guess it's not complete different country. Louisiana or Florida to New York City. I don't know. It does very much seem like an American thing, although they did talk about it in Paris, apparently. Never really thought about the fact that I have this association and I had no idea where it came from. Weird, huh? Anyway, sewer alligator. My friend might have clicked on a video to be like, hey, that's something I spoke about. Well, there you go. Happy sewer alligator day for yesterday, apparently. Such a bizarre thing, isn't it? Anyway, would I rather run into an alligator in a sewer? Oh, wait, no. Would I rather run into an alligator or go into a sewer? Provided it's not a hungry alligator, I think I'd rather run into the alligator. Isn't it the thing with alligators, like, they have the snapping strength is, like, really strong, but the strength to open their jaws is really weak? So if their jaws are just closed, you can just, like, hold them closed or something? Is that the thing? I don't know if that's an urban legend. Was it? Alligator jaw muscles open weak. Why are crocodiles weaker at opening their mouths and closing them? Wait, is alligator the big one or is a crocodile the big one? Or are they both big? The only thing I remember is the size of their snouts. It's like alligators like flatter or crocodiles longer. In this case, they're like the same size. I guess it depends on the breed. I didn't really think about that. Anyway, not the point. I don't know. I just have no desire to go into a sewer. To be honest, it's just dirty. Anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Bye bye for now.